Again, this is our college and career ready night, and we are going over our culinary pathway. And with us today is our panels, and we can go ahead and go kind of in order. Again, my name is Roger Guy. I'm with the Center for Career Discovery. Not on the list. Kind of stepping in right now until Mr. Wiedersek can join us, and we can go down the line. We'll go ahead and get started with Chef Charlie Brown.
Hi, Charlie Brown, Executive Chef for the Moorings in Arlington Heights. Pleasure to be with you.
Heather?
Sure. My name is Heather Larson. I'm the president and CEO of Meet Chicago Northwest. We are your tourism bureau here in the Northwest suburbs.
Okay, and Miss Hart?
Hi, my video will not work, but I'm Miss Hart.
Oh,
I'm the Elk Grove culinary teacher, and I teach intro, advanced culinary, and our Pro Start 1 and 2 courses.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miss McNamara. I am the culinary arts teacher at Buffalo Grove. I teach as well intro, advanced, Pro Start 1, and Pro Start 2.
Hi, I'm Rosie. I'm a senior at Prospect High School. And my reason for being here is that I did an internship in the culinary pathway at the nursing home, the Moorings, in Arlington Heights under a dietitian.
great. And again, thank you to our panelists for joining us this evening. So in District 214, and I don't know if you can read that. I'm sure having a hard time reading it. Just gonna go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. Oh,
Do you want to press slideshow in the
oh,
right-hand corner?
sure. That would work too. All right. So this is kind of going through the pathway, and maybe one of our teachers can talk a little bit more about the different offerings of District 214. So either Miss Hart or Miss McNamara.
Sorry. I was just trying to make sure that Miss Hart was in she had to re-enter the Zoom.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about what we do at Buffalo Grove. So, like I said, we offer starting off intro, and this is just basic knife skills, all the trajectory skills that will take you onto advanced cooking methods, and then leading on to a completely new curriculum, which is Pro Start 1 and Pro Start 2. The fun part about Pro Start 1 and Pro Start 2 is that is the industry level course. This will actually give you a glimpse of what it's like to work in the restaurant industry. This curriculum is written by the National Restaurant Association. Um, so that hits different topics that we touch on a little bit in advanced and intro, but to more of a challenging aspect of it. So we might be using more advanced techniques, advanced equipment, and especially hosting and catering to school events inside and outside of the school. This is a great program for us as well because not only does it focus on these culinary schools, but it also focuses on time management, all these skills based learning. We also dabble in some guest speakers that come in. I have a university speaker that comes in from Sullivan University, and he gives us a demonstration on different cooking methods, and our students get a little taste of that, as well as different military branches that come in. And we actually had the one military branch come in and give us MREs, which are meals ready to eat. and gave our culinary students a great challenge on what it's like to make these MREs and challenge themselves to make it taste good. We also take different field trips. Like next Wednesday is actually the Wheeling Taste of the Town, which some of our students are participating in for volunteer hours. We also host internships. We do that through the career specialist at Buffalo Grove as well. Her name is Christy Lenzini. She is able to kind of set up exactly what you're looking for in terms of an internship. And the best part about ProStart 1 and ProStart 2 as well, once you're through intro and advanced, you can take these courses and they are dual credit through Harper. Does anybody have any questions?
If you do, you can go ahead and enter that in the chat. Okay. So at this point, what we'll do is go ahead and talk to our panel about how they got where they are, what brings them here today, and kind of to talk a little bit about what the industry is like. So we can go ahead and start with Charlie, if you want to go ahead and tell a bit about your background and how you got to where you are.
Sure. I have been in the restaurant business really my entire life, and it was my first job as a busboy and at a little restaurant in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I've just stayed with it. I've worked my way up through restaurants. I attended culinary school at Johnson and Wales in Providence, Rhode Island. I've worked in New York City. I've spent some very formative years out in Napa Valley in California. Spent some time in Florida, Texas, and then up into the Chicago area for the past, 26 years or so. Um, and so I come from a restaurant background. I have had my own business where I have consulted and helped find issues and solutions with restaurants across the country. I've opened numerous restaurants. And then, I found my way into senior living, and which presents a whole nother set of challenges where it is restaurant style, but you're dealing with the same clientele day in and day out. Everybody has to go someplace to eat, and they eat with you every day. So it presents another set of challenges to keep things interesting um, and tasty. For a lot of different residents and a lot of different taste buds. Um, well, that's just a glimpse of where I've been and where I'm at. Um, it's it's a rewarding business. I've loved it, my entire life. I've done some great things throughout my career, and it's a fun, tough, hard business, but it's very rewarding.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
You know what? And I'm gonna do a little segue here because I know Rosie did some work over at the moorings, and if you can talk a little bit about your experience over there.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I spent about 6 weeks there. I wanted to explore the nutrition pathway. It was just something I was always interested in, because I played sports my whole life. I was like a volleyball player, and before that, I played basketball, I did soccer, I did swimming. And so, like, nutrition has always played a big part in my life. And my mom and like a lot of her siblings went to med school. So it kind of inspired me to, I guess, dabble in the science behind food. So that's why I ended up at the moorings. And it was a great experience. I shadowed the dietitian. Her name's Mrs. O. And she just educated me on like how to interact with patients and their families. I sat in on a couple of meetings for like patients and their family members that like took care of them, and just like learned about the different conditions. And she also helped me like look into schools as well that like either she went to or that she'd heard about, um, regarding the dietetics pathway, because for nutrition there's like dietetics is if you want to become a dietitian. So she inspired me to get my master's for that. So I'm planning to do that when I get to college.
Which is around the corner.
It is, yes, a couple months away.
Okay. And so going back to the question that we talked to Mr. Brown, Chef Brown, is Heather, can you tell us about your journey to where you are right now?
Yes. Well, I came up through the whole hotel industry, as I mentioned on the top of the call. We are the Meet Chicago Northwest is your tourism bureau here in the Northwest suburbs. We represent 700 plus restaurants. We represent over 60 hotels in Schaumburg, Arlington Heights, Elk Grove Village, and in the surrounding communities. So we put on Restaurant Week. We're really more of a sales and marketing organization working with those hospitality industries. But my background is hotels. I graduated from University of Wisconsin-Madison with a liberal arts degree, and came to Chicago straight away and fell in love with the big, grand, beautiful, glamorous hotels in downtown Chicago. And I got to work at quite a few of them. I worked at the Fairmont Hotel. The Drake Hotel was my absolute favorite, the Whitehall and the Allegro. And I never actually did culinary, but a lot of my counterparts, for example, the general manager at the big, beautiful Renaissance Schaumburg, came up through culinary. He has worked with Marriott International on 3 different continents. And also the Doubletree Arlington Heights general manager came up through culinary and banquets. So it's a great pathway to a fabulous career in the hotel industry and the restaurant industry.
Oh, wonderful. And let's talk to our teachers and kind of like what led you to this pathway and teaching in our great schools. We can start with either Ms. Hart or Ms. McNamara.
For me, I started my culinary like endeavors, I would say, when I was a lot younger. I was really into the cooking and baking. And when I went on to my career search at the end of high school, I am a graduate of Rolling Meadows High School. And Mrs. Kumler was my teacher at the time. And I spoke to her about, I really like what you do and I like what you teach. And she was like, well, if you want to be a culinary teacher, you should go to ISU. And that's kind of where I started heading to. And so I went to ISU and I really enjoyed the culinary classes there and the nutrition classes that we took as well. And so when I graduated college, I focused more on the culinary classes that I could find when I was applying for jobs. And I truly love what I do. And that's how I started in the culinary world.
Amazing. It's funny because I am quite literally the same story as Miss Hart. So I actually graduated from Crystal Lake South High School. They are also new to the Pro Star program as well, which is very exciting, but they did not offer it when I was in high school. When I was in high school, I wound up taking all of the family and consumer sciences courses, including all 4 levels of culinary that they offered. And I too looked at my teacher saying, I know that I want to be a teacher, and I believe that these classes are my strengths. And they showcase all skills based, of which I am growing rapidly at. And I can only get better from here. So I believe high school truly had that foundation instilled in me. I too went to Illinois State University, graduating with a family and consumer sciences teacher's degree, with a bachelor's. And I also experienced some undergrad teaching assistant in there, starting to get some grading skills in there and actually observing a lot of different culinary classes within my college career. And yeah, it's very similar to Mrs. Hart's.
Wonderful. Okay. Um, so another questions that we have for our panelists is, let's go, kind of keep going with the teacher and kind of describe and I know you talked a little bit about it earlier. What do students learn in our culinary programs?
Well, starting in our intro courses, we're really going to focus our students on the basic skills of culinary. So, right away, we start with safety and sanitation because that's our most important topic, making sure that we're safe in the kitchen. And then we'll go into some basic knife skills, teaching the students knife safety and different types of knife cuts that would be required to know moving into their internships after Pro Start. And then we also will focus heavily on measuring, being accurate with our baking, and introducing new equipment. When we move into our advanced classes, that's when we'll introduce meat to our students or to our students. So we'll work with ground beef, chicken. We'll try to do a hamburger cook-off with the students, and usually when I do that, I'll bring in our partners so they can taste test our students' food. And we also do some higher end baking with dough lamination, making pies, pastries, empanadas, and some cake decorating in there as well. In our Pro Start courses, that's when we move into our industry based learning. And that's when our students will receive food handler license and will go start the Pro Start curriculum there.
And can you talk a little bit about what type of external experiences are available for students in District 214?
Yeah, of course. So at Elk Grove High School, I have partnerships with Encore Village, Fredo's Pizza Kitchen, and Weber Grill and Tasty Catering in Elk Grove. All of those locations, my students are able to instead of coming into my room, they spend their 85 minutes being mentored by an executive or sous chef there. And they typically really hone in on their knife skills right when they get there, making sure that they know all their proper knife safety checks and making sure that they know their knife cuts. After that is when they go into learning mainly prep, and then they go cooking on the line with other chefs. And my students have really enjoyed those experiences, and those partnerships have brought really great experiences to my students in the classroom as well, not just the students that go there, because my partners do come in and they'll do demos for my students that are not yet in the internship program.
Right. And I'm going to just jump over to Chef Charlie. Talk about kind of like what are the skill sets you're looking for from our students when they participate in, let's say, an internship at the Mores?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that the foundation that is being presented by your schools are key. It's just like building a building. You don't have a great building without a great foundation. So learning those knife skills, sanitation requirements, and such are really key to to the beginning of having success. Um, we like to turn people into a prepping position. So we would have our interns come and work with the guys that prep the meals for the day, whether it's we have two different kitchens. We have a healthcare kitchen, we have an independent living kitchen. So they would start with that. And then we move them around. We would kind of evaluate, where they are and what they are capable of doing, following recipes, knife cutting, cooking techniques off the back of the line. And then we would move them around into different stations. So we know pantry station, learning all the cold food preparations, and then, moving on to the hotline. And it just depends on the talent level that we see in the interns when they're working with the prep crew. I will say I have two former Pro Start students that are currently working with me that completed the program and then continued to stay with me through past their internship. So, they're good guys and they work hard. But I think, we try to evaluate each person that comes in, um, and see what level they're at and where we might be able to take them, and then we'll move them into the appropriate areas. Hope that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And questions for Ms. Larson. You know, what advice would you give high school students who are interested in this career field, and what can they do while they're still in high school to prepare for it?
Well, I think there's no other industry more exciting than the hotel and restaurant industry. As Chef Brown stated, you get to travel the world if you choose to. You don't have to. There's certainly lots of options right here in Chicago, but it really is a very cool industry to see the world, to eat a lot of tremendous food and meet some very interesting people. And if you're interested, obviously the classes that are being put forward at District 214, at Harper College, at Kendall College, if you're looking for a 4-year, and other universities in the immediate area. Michigan State is very well known for their hospitality program as well. They will set you up for a career in the business of hospitality and hotel and restaurant business. And I would recommend that you do take some business classes if that's what you're looking to do. If you're looking to start your own restaurant, you need to have those accounting, you need to have those marketing, and you need to be able to present yourself. So you need to be able to communicate when you're going to the bank and asking for a loan. So all of those kinds of things that you might be not necessarily thinking is part of the culinary experience and part of the restaurant industry. It very much is. There's two different kinds of people in the restaurant industry. There's the front of the house and the back of the house. But if you're going to own the business, which maybe some of you aspire to do, you got to be able to do all of it. And I would recommend some of those business classes along with the culinary experience. And again, there's nothing more exciting. It's a really fun industry.
Yeah, if I can interject,
Uh,
the business aspect is probably as important, if not more so. I can tell you of chefs in my home state of Florida that are some of the most talented people I've ever met in my life that are not allowed to go into the business office because they have not a clue as to what they're doing. And that's problematic. They have other people that run their businesses while they become the face out front and they cook the food. So it is the business side in my consulting uh, businesses that I've run in the past, that's always the downfall is the business side. You've got to understand, how to produce the food, uh, quality, tastefulness, but also profitability so you can pay your bills. Or otherwise, you're not going to be cooking. So,
and I imagine for both Ms. Larson and Mr. Chef Brown that your typical days are a little bit different than each other. So I'm going to start with you, Chef Brown. What is your typical day like?
my typical day, well, it kind of depends. It depends on what's going on a daily basis. I usually am really the first person in. Um, as far as management goes, we have cooks that start a little bit before me, but I'm usually in 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I walk the walk-ins, I look at the coolers, I look at, food where we're at. I overlook at prep and where we're at as far as for the day and for the coming days. Um, I scour our stocks and what we have on the shelves. I place all the orders. I, get all of that ready. You know, I set the prep standards for the day. Um, I've got a lot of book work that needs to be done. We do what's called a spin down spreadsheet. So are entered into that spreadsheet, and it tells us how much money we have to spend. We start with a budget, and then we, spend down from there. So, I've got a lot of paperwork that gets done, and I try to get all that done before the staff comes in. Uh, I usually will greet the staff. I speak to each staff member individually as to what the expectations are for the day, as far as prep, service, so on and so forth. And then, we'll I oversee the meals for lunch service. I oversee the dinner service, scattered throughout the day or meetings and such. But my day is spent supervising and overseeing a lot of what is going on, and then supervising the food, making sure it looks good, tastes good. I taste everything. Nothing goes, you know, into the stations for prep that I haven't tasted. I taste every soup, I taste every dressing, I taste everything. And corrections are made on the spot if need be, or we keep on rolling. But and then my day ends somewhere around 6:30, and but that's it. It's just a lot of supervising what's going on, setting the standards for the day, talking to the staff, communicating with them, letting them know what the expectations are, making corrective actions if need be on the spot, and or celebrating victories.
Thank you so much. And you don't work weekends or anything, right? It's pretty
Uh, I
easy.
work I work weekends.
I know. And I think that's something our students and our families should know, like, the culinary field, that's a big part of it. And I'm
Like,
gonna
listen, I don't want to scare people away, but this is a tough industry. It's physical. You're on your feet a lot. Um, and there's a lot that goes on. It's more, it depends on the establishment. For myself, like I have an event on Monday that's for 60 people, that it's 6 courses. Um, we got to start preparing that actually tomorrow, so that, it's done and completed, by Monday, so that we can do that service. And we do, in this particular event, we plate every dish in front of the guests that are attending the event. So it becomes a very front-facing event, and an incredible challenge. We like to do 30 people, but for some reason we're doing 60, so, but, we just keep rolling with it. But you know, it's a lot of planning, and it's a lot of work, and weekends, yeah, I like to have a day off during the weekend. I usually have Saturday off, but so
uh, so Miss Lars, can you tell us a little bit about your day, what it's like, and do you work nights and weekends?
I'm a little bit more banker's hours and
Okay.
actually always have been, even when I was at the hotels, which never close, because I always did sales and marketing. So that's why I like sales and marketing. And I didn't do catering either. So we did, well, at the Tourism Bureau. So we're based in Schaumburg. We represent 63 hotels. Our main job is heads and beds and butts and seats, and that's in our restaurant. So we try to fill those ballrooms for the chef to do his thing and feed 1,000 people at a time. If you're at the Renaissance, maybe a few less at the Hyatt Regency, but also when we bring in those meetings and conventions to our hotels, we want to make sure that they're out and enjoying all the restaurants in the area as well. So what our work is I mentioned we put on Restaurant Week. That's one of the projects we work on. Our sales team is traveling the country doing trade shows, trying to solicit. I mean, our branded tourism isn't like Wisconsin Dells or Orlando, right? It's really more that meeting and convention business, the business traveler coming in, group business. So we go to trade shows, we do sales missions all across the country, introducing them to Schaumburg, Illinois and Arlington Heights, Illinois, that they may have never heard of. We certainly having the proximity to O'Hare is a big selling feature for us. And bringing people in with their events then helps the economy. And that's why we exist as an organization, to bring in economic impact to our community, which creates jobs and also creates a really nice standard of living for the residents, because they get to enjoy all of these restaurants that are made more profitable because of those visitors. So that's the kind of thing that we do on a day in, day out basis.
And yeah, so that's wonderful. And actually, we have a question in the chat, and
Yeah.
I think you both really describe all the different kind of careers within culinary, post college, other than obviously being a chef and working in the whole hotel industry. Can you either one describe other types of work that's available in the culinary field?
Well, I think it's very diverse. Um, if you want to, encompass, everything outside of the kitchen, the whole service aspect, brings in, I mean, an incredible amount of different positions, whether it's, you know, uh, dining room managers or bar managers or beverage managers. There's an incredible amount of things that go into running a restaurant or running a hotel. I've done hotels too, so there's in hotels, there's a sales and marketing aspect that sells caterings and both internal catering events or outside catered events. So there's a tremendous area of opportunity within the culinary field that's outside of cooking. Um, it's just it's enormous. A lot of places, especially in the hotels. They have, as we know, they have, marketing departments, they have sales departments, and not only is sales selling, they're selling the hotels, but they're also selling the convention spaces and the catering events and so on and so forth. And then, there's things like event coordinators as well that not necessarily they could work with, they could be independent coordinators that work with restaurants and hotels that they'll book weddings or events or whatever, all over the place. So there's a tremendous variety of things that are available within this business or
Yeah,
this industry.
piggybacking on that, I can say that our customers are event planners, meeting planners, and there are programs. I know that Harper offers an event planning program. They need to know culinary, they need to know cost, they also need to know audiovisual, they need to know staging, they need to be creative in, a lot of people will think, oh, I want to be a wedding planner. Well, let me tell you, wedding planners work every single weekend. So you might want to think about corporate meetings. Your budget is bigger. And you can do a lot of creative things with corporate meeting planning and still be in the creative field in culinary, even though you might not be cooking in the kitchen every single day. You get to do a lot of tasting. So that's kind of a fun part. And you're working with those event managers at the hotels. There's also food and beverage directors at the hotels who are in charge of purchasing all the alcohol, all the getting pricing on plates and napkins and linens and all of that kind of thing is involved. Purchasing for a big hotel like the Renaissance or the Westin and Itasca, those are our two largest hotels that we represent. It's a big job and it pays well. It pays very well. I think there's really a misperception that this industry doesn't pay well. This industry will get you well into the six figures as you move up through it. So you can do very well in this industry.
And just also, I think, kind of latching on to what Rosie has been looking at as far as the dietary aspect, dietary doesn't necessarily mean just healthcare or hospitals. It could be sports. The Chicago Bears have dietitians. Uh, Most universities that have huge athletic programs have dietitians. Most universities have dietitian and nutritionists that help guide their students through, proper eating and so on and so forth during their college careers, especially if they have health issues. So, you know, listen, there's a thousand different ways to go in the whole culinary, you know, industry.
And I think that's a great segue because Rosie, you're not off the hook yet. Question for you is, what are your post-secondary plans, and tell us about your journey in District 214 and how's that prepared you for your future?
Um, it's prepared me in the sense where I got to explore many different pathways. I really liked the law pathway when I first entered high school. I also did Intro to Culinary Arts my freshman year, and I continued with the law pathway along with human services. So I did psychology. There's two levels for that, one and two. I took sociology, and then currently I'm in AP Psych. And then I've always really liked science as well. So chemistry is a big part of like wanting to become a nutritionist. So it's prepared me in the sense where there's different levels for that as well. So I was an honors chem. And yeah, I've always really liked science. So I feel like having so many pathways to explore through Prospect and like the district, and being able to do this internship really opened my eyes to my future and what I want to do. So I'm very grateful for that. And because without this internship, I definitely wouldn't have realized how much I cared about nutrition or like um, that I wanted to pursue it for a career. And I would say right now, I definitely want to go into college and study it, major in it. Hopefully, get a master's degree out of that so I can maybe have my own practice as a dietitian. And I'm also currently a manager for the varsity football team. So at my school. So that kind of gives me the sports aspect to it. So we'll see if I decide to follow through, whether it's like in a nursing home where I did my internship, something like that, or if it'll be in a hospital or working with athletes.
All right, wonderful. And I know our teaching staff works directly with our business partners out in the community. And can you tell us a little bit how we are preparing our students to meet, how we work together with our industry partners?
Yeah, so I can kind of start off with saying that in our intro and advanced courses, I try to bring my industry partners in as guest speakers for demonstrations and to talk about what the industry is like with them. And then in our Pro Start courses, of course, we will do some small field trips. So last week and the week prior, we went to Tasty Catering with both of my Pro Start courses. And in there, they got to meet the chefs that they could intern with and meet the workers as well and see the facility and decide if that's something they want to do. And then with our partners, we also do some cool menu challenges, such as my advanced course will do the burger cook-off, and Fredo's owner will come and taste the burgers himself or pizzas, depending on the year, and put those on the menu. And the kids get to actually see their food displayed at a restaurant for a weekend. So it's a pretty cool experience.
Thank you. So it's about seven. We're almost the session's about done, and I know there's other things that people can hop on. So we do have another question in the queue. Charlie, what level of culinary education does your staff have? How competitive are staff positions for students graduating college?
Um, Not a lot of my staff members have culinary background. Most of them are folks that have worked their way up through the industry. Um, I'm not saying that's the best thing to do, but that's where my staff is at. I mean, I have guys that have been there for 20, 25 years, and terrific folks, and they understand the techniques that need to be done, and but they are not had gone through the culinary training. Um, I do think that my personal opinion is that the culinary training, whether it's through high school or Harper or Kendall or whatever the case is really valuable. Like I said earlier, building the foundation is a key to really excelling and understanding um, good food, good quality food. And so I think a good culinary background is important. Um, I don't I caution uh, folks that go to culinary school that we are not, we there's a dilemma that a lot of chefs have gone through called the the Food Network dilemma, where everybody that comes out of culinary school is a chef, and it really doesn't work that way. You really have to get that foundation, learn what you're doing, and then go work in the field for the best people that you can possibly work for. And it doesn't matter if it's here in Chicago, uh, or New York, or Europe, or Asia, or wherever. Strive to get into the best kitchens you could possibly get into and learn and learn and learn. And then while you're learning, develop your own style. And then you can become on your own. It's not something that's immediate. So from the culinary education side, then comes the work life experience side. Then comes the individual successes from there.
Thank you so much. So if anybody, we'll give it a few more minutes. If anybody has any other questions for a panelist, um, we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes. So go ahead and put it in the chat. In the meantime, thank you, panelists, for joining us this evening. We appreciate your time. And of course, Rosie, good luck. We look forward to hearing how you do afterwards, and stay in touch with 214 and your teachers. We love hearing those success stories.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Okay, so it looks like we are out of questions. And thank you so much. We'll leave the meeting. And for those folks who are still on, we are going to be recording this and make it available for every student and families in the district and for our incoming freshmen. Okay, thank you so much. Have a
Thank
good
you. Thanks
evening,
for having me.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.